I'm John Batchelor. Mary Kissel of the Wall Street Journal is here with me. We've just toured Arabia, and we have huge questions. They're going to be answered in a few hours. Remember, Arabia's +8, +9 from where we are. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, you'll hear the first of the news after prayers in the eastern provinces of Arabia. Mary, we've got turmoil in the Middle East. We've established that. We also have turmoil in Madison, Wisconsin. They're simultaneous. I don't equal them. I mean, they're not equal. What's going on in the Middle East is world scale. What's going on in Madison right now is a product of the financial crisis, big government, deficit spending. But to Wisconsin and to the events of today, is this the end of it, or is it going to spread to other capitals, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, I think that the unions aren't going to let it end today. So yes, I think definitely it will spread to other capitals, and they'll get big funding from big leftist sources to continue that fight, because these people aren't standing out there on their own. They can't afford to take this much time off of work. Of course, it's going to continue.
All right. At the same time, in Congress, we're supposed to be discussing a budget. They're sort of related. It's the same word. Budget in Wisconsin, budget in Washington. Has what happened in Madison, in your opinion, influenced any of the negotiations in Congress? Because I watch all this sort of peace and love stuff this week break out in the U.S. Senate. Did I overlook where all the partisanship was?
Well, I think what Scott Walker has done is he's sent a lesson to the Republicans in Congress and said, look, if you stand up for your values, and if you accurately represent what these people elected you to do, the taxpayers of the nation elected you to do, then you can prevail, because this is the mandate that you have. And I think what he did was give some backbone to the Republicans in Congress this week.
All right, and the Democrats did not stand up. They had 2 votes. They both failed, but it pointed to the fact that there will be negotiations over the CR, although that's last year's business. I mean, one of the frustrating things here is that the budget that they're debating was Mrs. Pelosi's and Harry Reid's budget. They left it unfinished at the election. That's why all this thrashing.
That's right.
2012 is ahead of us. We'll learn from that. Now, we go from Madison, Wisconsin, where the president has made remarks about how he stands with the unions, but he hasn't exactly shown up.
But not really.
Right. And then Washington, where the president has made remarks about budgets and about responsible cuts, to the presidency. Todd Lindbergh, who writes for the Hoover Institution and is the editor of Policy Review, has an essay up that I admire. He suggests that there's possibility that the President of the United States right now is a do-nothing president, in the same fashion that Harry Truman triumphed in 1948 when he identified the Republican Congress right after the war as the do-nothing Congress. Where is the president? Do you see him on Madison? Do you see him on the CR? Do you see him on Libya? Do you see him on Riyadh? Because I don't.
No, you don't see him anywhere. He's completely absent. And when he does show up, in terms of, say, foreign affairs, he's bowing to international institutions. He doesn't want to make decisions. He wants somebody else to make the decisions for him. Because if he doesn't make a decision, it's hard to attack him.
It is hard to be the President of the United States. You're going to do things, you're going to be yelled at, you're going to make mistakes. Right? All true. But if you are the President of the United States, you follow my logic. Is he adjusting? Is this... I don't see the Congress stopping him. I don't see anyone saying, Barack Obama, keep quiet.
Well, I think that's what was so interesting about the last segment, John, is that he has the will of Congress behind him. If he wanted to do something, for example, with Libya, impose a no-fly zone, I think Congress would back him.
Later on tonight, I'm going to be speaking with Robert Dreyfuss, who's one of the most outspoken voices of the left. He writes for The Nation, and he was very, very discerning and articulate in pounding George Bush through the Iraq and Afghanistan war. He doesn't want involvement in Libya. The left does not want Barack Obama to move, to make any military intervention at all, and there are people who agree with that, left and right. That's true. But right now, neither does the left nor the right know where Barack Obama is. We don't know what his position is. Or did I miss it? Was there a late fax today that you got at the Journal?
No, you didn't miss it. But there's another thing that the left and the right agree on, is that we can't afford to have chaos in these oil-producing states. And I think that the longer the president waits and sits and thinks and doesn't do anything, the greater likelihood we have of a prospect of a civil war in a place like Libya. And both the left and the right can agree that that is not in America's national interest. All
right, I'm going to try one more time. Is he being a centrist, Mary? Does a centrist mean be quiet? Well, all right, fine, I'm guessing. Let's move over to a meeting that the president did have with a voluble young woman. Julia Gillard, the Prime Minister of Australia, came through the White House this week, and she sat for the photo op and she made remarks about Australia. And Australia's had a bad season. It had the floods, it had the typhoon, and it has a Labour government that is now siding with the Greens. What did Ms. Gillard get out of her visit with the White House?
I don't think she got very much, except the fact that she had it, because it's probably going to be her first and her last visit to Washington.
Well, now there's a positive view. However, she does control a tie, correct? And the Greens are voting with her, correct?
That's correct.
And there's no doubts about this when she gets home. She still controls the government.
That's definitely true.
All right, and there's no election coming.
That's right. There's no election coming anytime soon. However, if her popularity keeps falling through the floor, then who knows? There could be an election. There could be a revolt within the Labour Party, and they may install somebody else, just like they did with her.
I want to come back to our markets and our politics right now. We've got a lot of questions for the president. We've got a Congress that seems in dispute, although moving towards some rapprochement with the CR of 2011. Let's go on to the big fight. But we've got an economy that is unsure. It's acting hesitant. There are doubts about the economy, especially for the second half of the year. Do you see any tell that you're at the Journal? Are you seeing any signs of strength or weakness that can tell us where we're going?
Well, we do see the economy recovering about 3.5% to 4% over the year, but we also see some great headwinds, not least of which is the still moribund housing market,
right,
which the Obama administration is doing everything it possibly can to prolong the pain there. We had news this week that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and a bunch of state attorney generals want to bleed the banks and effectively impose a de facto moratorium on foreclosures. So we have a market where prices are falling, we have excess supply, we need to get rid of that supply, and what's the government trying to do? It's trying to stop foreclosures. It's things like that which throw this market for a loop.
Mary Kissel of the Wall Street Journal, and we're looking right now for the headlines in the morning of the Day of Rage in Arabia. That's the dominating story in these next hours. Mary will be writing on it. The Wall Street Journal will be writing on it immediately after it happens. But right now, my keen warning, and I'll end with this, is that the Day of Rage tomorrow is the beginning of a long campaign. And if you want to know where it ends, it's Tehran. I'm John Batchelor.